Hello and welcome to the Satluj TV podcast. Now, we've often asked on our shows, is India moving away from its status as a democratic nation to an authoritarian state in the same model as, say, Russia, China, or even North Korea, as Hindu or Hindutva nationalist ideology takes increasing control? Well, warning signs seem to be everywhere, but are we imagining this, or are those signs genuinely there? And if so, what can we do about it? Well, to explore this topic and answer those questions, I'm joined today by our regular guest, Dr. Singh Grewal, MD. Dr. Grewal, welcome. Thank you for joining us once again today.
Good morning, Angus. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Thanks for having me.
A pleasure as always. Now, Dr. Grewal, let me ask you a simple question. Are we imagining these signs, or is India indeed currently heading towards tyranny?
So, first, I think we need to define tyranny. I like a simple definition of Thomas Jefferson. Thomas Jefferson says, when the government fears the people, there is a liberty. When the people fear the government, it is a tyranny. So, I think India, according to that definition, is a tyranny. So, what's happening? The Indian government, which is the BJP, RSS, together, treating the minorities, for example, Sikhs, Muslims, Christians, Dalits, and others, it can be called a tyranny. Several organizations and reports have expressed concern about the treatment of minorities, including Muslims, Christians, Sikhs, and Dalits. Under the current BJP RSS government in India, some critics worldwide have reported they raised the question whether this amounts to tyranny of the majority. So some of the concerns are as follows. Impact of Hindu ideology. BJP's core ideology, thus Hindutva, advocates for India as a Hindu nation, potentially sidelining or marginalizing religious minorities like Muslims, Christians, and Sikhs. Many sources have suggested that this ideology, coupled with the rhetoric and actions of BJP leaders, have contributed to an environment of increased hostility and discrimination against these groups, legislative and politics. So, anti-conversion laws. In India, BJP states have passed anti-conversion laws. What this means, if a Hindu or non-Christian or non-Muslim convert to Islam or Christianity, they are prosecuted. But look at what they tell the public, what they tell the world. Constitution of India 1976, that's the 42nd Amendment. Preamble states, the people of India having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic and to secure to all its citizens. So word secular. So what does the word secular means? In Western countries like US where I live, secular meaning is separation of religion from politics, so the government. In India, they say secular means treating all religions equal. So why do they need anti-conversion laws? So what was happening if a non-Muslim or Christian, a Hindu or Dalit converts to Islam or Christianity, even to Sikhism, some cases have happened, they are prosecuted. But if a Muslim converts back to Hinduism, it's called purification or Shuddhi or home coming back. So look at the disparity, how secularism is working there. So then they have Citizens Amendment Act, where non-Muslims from other countries will be getting citizenship, but not the Muslims. So that raises the question of what the secular principle is. Then they have this National Register of Citizenship. The sole purpose of this appears to be disfranchising many Muslims. That's what they're doing in Bihar. There's election coming up. They are revising their voter list and asking some of these poor people to show the documents like passport or identity, which they never had, they never traveled. So they're trying to get them off the voter list so they can win the election. There's arbitrary demolition of houses, businesses of Muslims without any due course of law. This is a collective punishment to the Muslim leaders and teach them a lesson that they should learn who is the ruler and who is being ruled. Discrimination in various spheres, including economic opportunities, education, and employment, is also a concern for minorities, particularly Dalits. Weakening the democratic institution. Some commentators fear that the rise of Hindu nationalism is eroding secular democracy, weakening institutions like the judiciary and the police, and restricting freedom of speech and press. So there's no doubt, I think you follow several stories, judiciary is also being corrupted, and there are still some good judges, but most of it, they listen to the government. So I think now defining tyranny and saying India is a tyranny, now how do we fight it? I think some of the things, what I learned, we discussed before also, how the Sikh gurus teach us how to fight tyranny. In Sikhism, we have a concept of dharma yodha, just war. Sikhism has a concept of just war when armed conflict is considered as a last resort when all peaceful methods have failed. Purpose of this war motive is for such a war is to uphold justice, protect the innocent, and end persecution, not for revenge. So the key thing is not for revenge, but for justice. Warrior spirit. Gurus instilled warrior spirit, emphasizing the importance of self-defense and defending the weak and vulnerable against tyranny. 10th Guru created Khalsa, institutionalized the Khalsa, a community of initiated Sikhs committed to upholding Sikh ideals and fighting for justice. The concept of Miri Piri is again to fight tyranny and create Sikh soldiers. So examples of resistance to tyranny are there many in the life of Sikh gurus and many Sikhs who have sacrificed their life. But two examples I will quote: Guru Arjan Dev's martyrdom and Guru Tegh Bahadur's sacrifice. So these are the key events which shaped the Sikh history, and fighting tyranny is in our blood. Emphasis on human rights and social justice. Sikh teaching strongly advocate for the dignity and rights of all human beings, regardless of their background. This includes rejecting the caste system. This is very important for Sikhs to practice, rejecting the caste system, promoting gender equality, working towards a just and equitable society. In a sense, Sikh gurus taught their followers to be saint soldiers.
So Dr. Grewal, if I may just jump in there, Dr. Grewal. So it's very clear from what you've explained is that the Indian state in its modern form is basically weaponizing the law to impose some form of sort of tyrannical control. Now, you've also said that the Sikh community, the Sikh people have been trained, have been instructed by the gurus very historically and deeply embedded in its historical culture to stand up to this sort of injustice. Now, in the old days, the state would send in the armed forces, its army, and it would physically beat down its people into obedience. Now, the modern form of this is the Indian state is using the law. So, ironically, it's using legal means to beat down the people. And in turn, the Sikh people want to fight back. Again, in the old days, as per the gurus, they would have stood up physically. They would have taken up arms against it to literally fight against injustice. But we're now in the 21st century. So, of course, the fight back against a modern tyrannical rule has to take a more modern form. So what do you believe then? What can people do in this modern world? What methods can they use to fight back against a potential modern tyranny?
That's a good question you raise. So I recently came across a book, I think I'm going to show. Says on tyranny 20 lessons from the 20th century. Timothy Snyder. It's a good book. It's available on Amazon. Any of the Sikhs concerned about tyranny, especially the people who believe in Khalistan, I think this is a must read. It's not very expensive. So it has 20 lessons for how to deal with the tyranny. So number one, do not obey in advance. That means people who become dictators, they gain power when individuals anticipate and comply with the desire of the regime, even without being explicitly asked for. So this book, all the 20 points, background is what happened in Germany. So I think what happening is in India is leading towards what Hitler was doing. They also had a swastika. They are very much same ideology. So I think all these points are good to learn. So number two is defend the institutions. Institutions such as courts and independent media help preserve fundamental rights and need active defense from citizens to remain strong tyranny. So if government is using the courts for their benefit to promote their ideology, I think it's responsibility of the citizens to fight back. Be aware of the one-party state. Tyrannical regimes consolidate power by making it impossible for opposition parties to function. It is essential to support multi-party system and democratic election rules. It's self-explanatory. The number four, take responsibility for the symbols of the world. Recognize and actively reject symbols of hate, oppressive ideology to prevent them from becoming normalized. Number five, remember professional ethics. Uphold ethical principles in your professions, as tyrants rely on compliant professionals such as lawyers and judges to function. So this we discussed before. It is not happening. Some of the professionals are succumbing to Modi government's wishes. Number six, be wary of paramilitary. The emergence of uniform pro-leader paramilitary groups often precede the full takeover by an authoritarian regime, and their intermingling with the official police is a serious warning sign. So RSS has that, what they have been doing these paramilitary trainings, and now I think some places they are given weapons in calling some kind of veer or something. Number seven, be reflective if armed. Be reflective if armed. That means if you are a member of armed forces or police, you have weapons given by government, make sure you refuse to use the order that violate ethical principles. So if you're working for the government, they are committing atrocities, and you are the one with the weapons, don't comply, stand out. Number eight, stand out, actively resisting or expressing dissenting opinions, even when it feels uncomfortable, can inspire others and break the spell of the status quo. Just like the example of Rosa Parks, who refused to get up and give up her seat in the bus. Number nine, be kind to the language. Resist the tendency to adopt the language of the regime or mindlessly repeat slogans. Develop your own way of thinking and speaking to maintain independent thought. So don't join the crowd, stay independent and think what's happening around you. Number 10, believe in truth. Challenging the regime's manipulation of fact is crucial because abandoning truth makes it impossible to criticize power. Truth is very important in Sikh life also. And truthful living is even higher. That's what Guru Nanak says. So believe in truth. Number 11, investigate. Seek out information independently. Consume diverse sources and be aware of propaganda to form well-informed opinions. So this is exactly what people need to do in India. So most of the press in India, they call Godi media. They are complying with the government wishes. There are very few left. So it is our moral responsibility to seek out and support the ones which are giving independent information. Number 12, make eye contact and small talk. Engage with others to build connections, understand the social landscape, and identify individuals you can trust in an oppressive environment. So that means have a collaboration with like-minded people and like-minded organizations. Number 13, practice corporeal politics, resist the urge to remain isolated, engage in public life, attend gatherings, and connect with the people in person. So, message to my friends who think Khalistan, yes, India is bad, Khalistan will happen, but don't sit home. Do something, whatever within your means. Sitting and isolating yourself, you are encouraging the tyranny. Number 14, establish a private life. This is very important also. Protect your privacy as tyrants use personal information for control. Secure your digital life and prioritize in-person interactions. So these agencies will use anything they can find to weaken your resolve. So keep your information private, especially with this digital world. It's your responsibility to make sure information you put on your computers and phones is protected. Number 15, contribute to good causes. Support organizations that align with your values, whether they are political or not, to strengthen civil society. Number 16, learn from peers in other countries, connect with individuals and movements internationally to share strategies and support each other's struggles against authoritarianism. So this I am going to add, I will be facing some trouble for saying what I'm going to say it. I think when you are persecuted, have sympathy with the other people and think how they are being persecuted and they need same sympathy and help. Just like what is happening in Gaza. Why some of these Sikh organizations are being quiet and not speaking out against what is happening in Gaza. This is my personal belief, and I think if somebody wants to criticize, I can take it. Number 17, listen for dangerous words. Be alert to the use of terms like extremism, terrorism, and national security by those seeking to consolidate power and stifle dissent. So governments will use all those terms, national security, terrorism, extremism, to quieten the opposition or the dissent, like people like me and you. Number 18, be calm when the unthinkable arrives. Unthinkable arrives when you are under stress. When authoritarian regimes often exploit crises such as terrorist attack to tighten their grip on power, it essentially to avoid succumbing to fear and to remain rational. So the dictators will use the fear to quieten the opposition. So it's very important to stay calm and not to yield to their wishes. Number 19, be a patriot. Define patriotism in a way that aligns with the democratic values and principles and strive to uphold those values for future generations. So this is important. Patriotism is not just following the government. It is how you see what your nation is going through. Number 20, be courageous as you can. Freedom often requires significant risk and sacrifices. Be prepared to stand up for what is right, even if the facts of adversity. This means sometimes for your beliefs you may have to sacrifice your life. Be prepared for that. So I think these 20 points are very, very relevant to current situation in India. The background for this book is how things deteriorated in Germany and Europe. And I think there's always a learning from history. And this is a good book. I think is easily available. I request all my friends to read it and buy it and support any literature like that. So this is what I think I learned from this book, that in the modern days, there are other ways than just standing with the arms where you can fight the tyranny. Tyranny, in my view, right now, current Indian government is a tyranny.
And it's interesting, Dr. Grewal, of course, you draw many parallels to 1930s Germany and the rise of the Nazi Party, which has formed really I would say, the textbook model of a tyranny rising from what was a previous democracy. And there is a very interesting poem that arose from those days that are subsequent to after the Second World War. And it was a poem that is widely circulated. I'll quickly read it. It's just a few lines. It says, "First they came for the socialists, and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists. I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews. I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me." Now, of course, this sends out a very, very powerful message. Do you think, of course, it's very easy for those in the Sikh community who've been brought up in a culture of always fighting injustice, almost from the day a Sikh is born, that is engendered into Sikh psychology. But of course, the wider population, many people are just simple people who are afraid. They are scared. They're decent people, but they're scared. So what is your advice to people like that, coming from the Sikh perspective? What is your advice to ordinary people in the community who are just scared? What can they do?
You know, the tyrants are generally very weak person. They are afraid of people. If you be afraid of them, then they become more stronger. I think it's a moral duty. Don't be afraid of a tyrant. Stand up to them. Yes, sometimes you have to give up your life. If it comes to that, let it be, because you're going to die someday. You can't live forever. Okay. So I think to support that, I can quote a quote from Patrick Henry, March 23rd, 1775, at Second Virginia Convention. It's very well known in this country. I don't know in India or other places. Patrick Henry says, "Give me liberty or give me death." So give me liberty or give me death. The life of slavery is morally, you are a dead person. You are obeying the master, have no conscience. So what is the use of that kind of life?
Yeah, I think that's a powerful message to finish on. It comes down to simple human courage, and a very powerful statement. But there we must leave it, but we will of course be talking to Dr. Grewal again soon to continue our discussions. Dr. Grewal, it's been fascinating and a pleasure as always. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you, Angus. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Again, I recommend all friends to go buy this book and read it. It's very important to read the good literature.
Good advice. And thank you for watching the Satluj TV podcast. We will see you next time.